I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Emily, for about 8 years now. At first, everything seemed perfect. Good job, a nice house, 2 kids I loved more than anything. We had our fights here and there, but I thought that was normal. I mean, what marriage doesn't have its ups and downs? But lately, I started noticing small things that didn't add up. She'd be extra secretive about her phone, always bringing it to the bathroom or keeping it face down on the table. She'd come home late from work more often, and her mood swings were more intense. Sometimes she'd be bitchy for no reason, snapping at me over nothing. I brushed it off at first, thinking she was stressed or just tired. But then I started catching her in tiny lies. Little things. She'd say she was at work when I called, but I'd see her texting someone behind her phone. Once I even found a receipt from a restaurant I knew she hadn't mentioned going to. Still, I told myself I was being paranoid. It's easy to do that when you love someone and don't want to believe the worst. I didn't want to assume she was cheating. I mean, I trusted her, right? Or at least I wanted to. But the gut feeling just kept gnawing at me. I'd catch her sneaking glances and her stories didn't add up anymore. Then one night I came home early from work, something I rarely did, and I noticed her car wasn't in the driveway. That wasn't unusual, but her phone was on the kitchen counter, face up and unlocked. I figured, what the hell, I'd just check it. I know, I shouldn't have, but I couldn't help myself. I scrolled through her messages and what I found hit me like a ton of bricks. A series of texts with someone I didn't recognize, calling each other sweetheart and babe. The conversation was intimate, talking about meeting up, sharing secrets, planning dates. And then there was the kicker. She mentioned she'd met the guy during her work as a courtroom interpreter. I froze. My mind raced. I remembered her mentioning that she'd been working extra hours at the courthouse lately. I also remembered her acting weird during those days, being secretive, shutting down when I asked about her day. I kept digging because I needed to be sure. And that's when I found the security footage. Turns out the courthouse had security cameras, and I managed to get access through some shady contacts I know. I called in a favor, and what I saw was undeniable. Emily, my wife, meeting with a courtroom interpreter named Jason in some unused conference room between proceedings. They weren't just talking, she was leaning into him and they kissed. My stomach dropped. I couldn't believe it. This wasn't just some emotional affair. She was doing it right under my nose, behind my back, in a secret side of her life I never even suspected. The footage was clear and it was recent, less than a week before I found it. Everything clicked. The late nights, the secret phone calls, her change in attitude, her bitchiness. She'd been cheating on me with this guy. I felt betrayed, angry, humiliated. I kept replaying the footage over and over, trying to convince myself it wasn't real, but I knew better. This wasn't some misunderstanding. It was a full-blown affair. I spent that night awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to process it all. I kept asking myself how. I missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. I was furious at her for lying so easily, for making me doubt myself. But what really hurt was the image of her with him, so close, so intimate. It felt like my whole world was crumbling and I didn't know what to do next. I felt broken, like I'd been hit in the gut. I couldn't sleep, kept thinking about how to confront her, how to face the betrayal. I thought I knew her, but now I realize I never really did. She's a bitch, honestly, so good at lying, so good at hiding her true self behind that bitchy attitude. And Jason, he's just a scammer. I wonder how many other guys she's done this with, or if I was just the latest victim. So that's where I stand now. I've got all the proof I need, but I haven't said a word to her yet. I want to do it right, want to see her belly up and maybe even get some justice. I keep asking myself if I should just walk away, cut my losses, or fight for something that might already be gone. Honestly, I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to do revenge, but I swear I've got a plan brewing. I want her to feel what I felt, this deep, gut-wrenching betrayal. I want her to see that I'm not stupid, that I know everything now. I'll tell her I've seen the footage, and I'll make sure she regrets ever messing around behind my back. I don't think I can trust her anymore, not after this. She's a lying bitch, and I don't care how much she screams or cries. I'm done being the fool in her game. After I saw everything, I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't just sit there and let her keep lying, pretending she was innocent or that I was overreacting. That night, I stayed up, planning my move. I didn't want her to suspect I knew anything just yet. I needed to gather my thoughts, get my facts straight, and figure out exactly how I was going to confront her. Honestly, a part of me wanted to just blow up, to scream at her, to throw her out right then and there, but I knew that wouldn't do me any good. I had to be strategic, cold, even if I wanted to get some kind of justice or clarity. The next day, I watched her carefully. She was her usual bitchy self, snapping at me over stupid things, acting like I was an annoyance, but I kept my cool. I didn't want her to catch on. I played it like I hadn't seen a thing, like I was waiting for her to slip up again. Meanwhile, I kept digging, trying to find more evidence, more proof. I went through her phone again, looked at her emails, checked her social media, trying to see if she'd left any breadcrumbs. Nothing concrete yet, but I knew I was close. Then I started thinking about how I wanted to handle the confrontation. I didn't just want to yell or break things. I wanted her to understand that I knew, that I was aware of her lying, her cheating, everything. I wanted her to feel vulnerable, exposed. I decided I'd wait until she was alone, catch her off guard, and then lay everything out there. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some clueless fool anymore. A few hours later, she came home from what I assumed was another late night at work. She stormed into the house, throwing her purse on the table and stomping into the kitchen. That's when I finally decided to speak. I looked her straight in the eyes, kept my voice even, and said, "We need to talk." Her face immediately hardened, her bitchy attitude switching on like a switch. She rolled her eyes and snapped back, "What now, Mike? I'm tired of your accusations." I didn't flinch. I pulled out my phone, played the security footage on the screen, and watched her face drain of color. Her eyes widened, her mouth opened to lie, but I cut her off. "I know what you've been doing," I said coldly. "Meeting Jason, sneaking around, lying to my face. I saw everything. The footage is clear. You've been cheating on me with that guy. How long has this been going on?" Her eyes flickered and she tried to come up with some bullshit excuse, but I knew her game. She's always been a good liar, but not good enough this time. Her reaction was classic. She started crying, shouting, denying everything like her life depended on it. "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not what it looks like, I swear. He's just a friend, a colleague. You're overreacting as usual." But I wasn't buying her bullshit. I saw her kiss him with my own eyes. I knew she was lying, just trying to save her ass. The worst part, she kept insisting she was innocent, that I was just paranoid, that I had no proof. But I did more than enough. And I wasn't about to let her spin her lies anymore. She kept crying and yelling, throwing out every excuse she could come up with, saying it was just sex, saying she was bored, saying she didn't mean for it to go this far. I just stood there, listening to her bitchy, manipulative voice, feeling more betrayed than I ever thought possible. I could see the contempt she had for me, the way she thought she could lie her way out of it all. Honestly, I was furious. Not just because she cheated, but because I was stupid enough to trust her, to believe she was different from every other woman who'd ever lied to me. But at the same time, I felt a strange numbness settle over me. Like I was watching everything happen to someone else. I couldn't believe how easily she'd lied to my face, how she'd betrayed me with that smug little attitude, acting like she was the victim. I felt stupid, angry, hurt, and disappointed all at once. I wanted to punch her, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. I just stared at her, trying to process what I was hearing and seeing. The woman I married, the woman I loved, was a fucking liar and a cheat. And she thought she could just deny it, brush it off, and carry on like nothing had happened. I told her to pack her shit and leave, right then and there. I didn't want her in my house, not anymore. I wanted her to see that she couldn't get away with it. She argued, begged, even tried to guilt-trip me, but I just shut her down. I told her she was a selfish bitch who thought she was smarter than everyone else, but I saw her for what she really was, just another lying, cheating woman who thought she could manipulate her way out of anything. That's when I realized that, no matter how much it hurt, I'd be better off without her. She's not the woman I thought I married. She's just a bitch who thought she could get away with everything. So I kicked her out. I haven't spoken to her since. The house feels colder, emptier, and honestly, I don't miss her. I've been trying to pick up the pieces. It hurts, but I know I'll be better off in the long run. I've learned that trust is a fragile thing, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. If anyone out there is going through something similar, I'll just say this. Don't ignore the signs and don't let anyone treat you like a fool. Trust your gut, and when you catch them lying, don't be afraid to stand your ground. In the end, you'll come out stronger, trust me. After she moved out, everything changed for me. The house was eerily quiet without her bitchy comments and drunken arguments. I didn't sleep much those first few nights, just lay awake, replaying everything I'd seen, trying to figure out what to do next. Part of me wanted to chase after her, beg her to come back too, fix what was broken, but I knew better. Deep down, I understood that trust was shattered beyond repair and I couldn't just pretend like nothing had happened. I started going through all the things she left behind, trying to make sense of what I'd uncovered. Her phone, her emails, her social media, anything that might reveal more about her cheating. I discovered she'd been lying to me for months, hiding meetings, secret texts, and even more lies about her whereabouts. It was like peeling back layers of a rotten onion. Every new piece of evidence made me angrier, more betrayed. I hated her for lying, for thinking she could just walk away from what she'd done like it was some petty mistake. This was bigger than that. She'd been playing me for a fool and I'd been stupid enough to trust her. One day, I decided I needed to confront her again, just to get it out in the open, even if it hurt. I called her, and she answered with that bitchy tone she'd perfected. "What do you want, Mike? I told you I'm sorry, I'll do better." I laughed bitterly. Sorry doesn't cut it, Emily. I saw the footage. I know about Jason, about your meetings in the courthouse. I know you lied to my face every damn day. Her voice cracked, but she kept trying to deny it, to spin some bullshit story about how it was just a mistake, how she was bored and lonely, how she didn't mean for it to get this far. I wanted to scream at her, tell her she was a manipulative bitch, but I kept my cool. I told her I didn't want her back, not anymore, that I was done with her lies, her games, her bullshit. I told her she could go be with Jason or whoever she wanted. None of it mattered now. What mattered was that I was done trusting her, done pretending she was someone I could rely on. I felt a strange mixture of relief and despair. Relief that I finally knew the truth, but despair because I'd wasted so much time thinking she was someone worth loving. Over the next few days, I focused on myself. I started going to the gym again, reconnecting with some old friends and trying to rebuild what I'd lost, my confidence, my sense of self. The betrayal had rocked me to my core, but I refused to let it break me completely. I kept thinking about the woman I married, how she used to be kind, funny, caring, and how she turned into this manipulative person who thought she could cheat on me and get away with it. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I let her get so good at lying. And then I thought about Jason. That piece of shit. I knew I'd find a way to make him regret messing with my wife. I didn't want to hurt him physically, but I wanted him to feel the sting of betrayal too. I started digging into his background, finding out where he worked, who he was connected to. I wanted to see if I could get something on him, something to make his life uncomfortable. I wasn't a violent guy, but I was damn determined to get some kind of payoff for what he did to me, to my marriage. That's when I realized that revenge wasn't just about hurting her. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my self-respect. One thing I learned in all of this: women like Emily, bitchy, manipulative, and selfish, think they can do whatever they want without consequences. But I've come to see that pushing back, standing up for yourself even after being betrayed, is the only way to regain some sense of control. I don't regret confronting her. Getting everything out in the open was necessary. I wish I'd seen it sooner, but better late than never. I'm still pissed, still hurt, but I refuse to let her take away my peace of mind completely. I'm starting to feel stronger, more focused on myself, and I know that one day I'll look back at this and realize it was a turning point. An ugly, painful one, but a turning point nonetheless. It's been a few weeks since she moved out, and honestly, I never thought I'd say this, but the house feels almost easier to breathe in now. I don't miss her bitchy attitude, her lies, or the constant paranoia that I was never enough. Instead, I've been focusing on cleaning up the mess she left behind, both physically and emotionally. I've changed the locks, gotten rid of her stuff, and made it clear that she's not welcome back. Every day, I feel a little more like myself, less angry, more determined to rebuild what I thought was lost. But no matter how much I try to focus on myself, the betrayal keeps creeping back into my mind. I keep replaying the footage, thinking about how she looked in her lies, how she thought she could get away with it all. That's the worst part, her arrogance, her belief that she was smarter than everyone else. It fuels my desire to make her regret everything she did. I've been researching ways to make her pay, not physically, but in ways that hit her where it hurts, her pride, her reputation. I want her to realize that betrayal has consequences, and I want her to know I'm not a guy to be played like a fool. At the same time, I can't ignore the fact that I still feel that ache in my chest, like I lost part of myself. That woman I married, the one who used to laugh at my stupid jokes and tell me I was her everything, I barely recognize her now. She's a stranger who lied, cheated, manipulated her way into someone else's arms. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I've had to accept that I can't change what happened. All I can do is move forward and learn from it. One of the hardest parts has been seeing how she's trying to spin the story now. I found some of her friends on social media, and she's been posting these fake, "I'm strong and independent" quotes, acting like she's the victim. She's painting herself as a misunderstood woman who was just bored and lonely, which is bullshit. I know her better than that. She's a bitchy, manipulative woman who thought she could cheat and lie her way out of everything. And she's trying to make me look like the bad guy now, like I was the one pushing her away or something. But I see through all that. I know she's just trying to save face because deep down, she's embarrassed she got caught. That's why I've been planning my next move. I want her to see that I'm serious about ending this chapter forever. I've started talking to a lawyer, figuring out what my rights are if I decide to divorce her. I want to make sure she doesn't get away with screwing me over financially or emotionally. I also want her to know that I won't be some pushover anymore. She can't manipulate her way back into my life. I've realized that the best revenge is living well, but I also want her to feel the weight of what she's done. I want her to know that I see her for what she really is, an entitled, selfish bitch who thought she could get away with cheating on her husband. And Jason, I've been keeping tabs on him too. Nothing too crazy, just enough to make sure he doesn't think he's above the law. I won't do anything reckless, but I want him to know that I'm aware of his part in all this. Maybe it'll make him think twice about messing with someone's wife again. No matter what, I refuse to sit back and let this all slide away like it's nothing. They both scammed me, played me for a fool, and I won't just forget that. I want to make sure they both understand that you can't cheat and lie without consequences, especially not with me. This whole experience has taught me a lot about trust, betrayal, and resilience. I used to think marriage was sacred, that people should be loyal and honest. Now I see that some women, like Emily, are just selfish and bitchy enough to lie and cheat their way through life. But I also see that I'm stronger than I thought. I'm not some victim in this story. I'm the guy who's going to come out of it better. I'll rebuild my life, stronger and smarter, and I'll never let a woman like Emily pull the wool over my eyes again. That's my promise to myself. It's been about a month since she left, and I can honestly say I've never felt more determined to move on. The house still feels empty without her bitchy comments and manipulative attitude, but I'm finding ways to fill that void with focus on myself. I've started working out regularly, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected, and even picking up some old hobbies I used to enjoy before I got caught up in that nightmare. Every day, I remind myself that I deserve better than a woman like Emily, who lied, cheated, and looked me in the face like I was nothing. The thing that's been bothering me the most lately is how she's been trying to spin her story online. She posts these empowering quotes about independence and overcoming hardship, but I know she's just trying to save face. She wants everyone to think she's the victim, that she's misunderstood. But I see through her bullshit. I know her for what she is. A selfish, bitchy woman who thought she could get away with whatever she wanted because she's good at lying. It's infuriating to see her pretend she's some misunderstood victim, like I was the one who pushed her into cheating. The truth is, she's just a manipulative bitch who thought she could keep doing her dirt without anyone catching on. I've been working closely with a lawyer, trying to figure out the best way to protect myself financially and get this divorce over with. I don't want her to get away with any of her lies or manipulation. I plan to fight for full custody of the kids, something I never thought I'd do, but after what she's done, I can't just let her walk back into their lives like nothing happened. I want her to understand that her actions have consequences. She's not going to get to keep playing her game, acting like she's blameless and walk out of this unscathed. I want her to feel the weight of her betrayal, to realize that her bitchy attitude and manipulative ways have cost her everything. And Jason, I've been keeping tabs on him like I said before. Nothing reckless, just enough to make sure he gets the message. I've found out where he works, who he hangs out with, and I've even started spreading a little word among some of his friends that I know what he's been up to. Nothing criminal, just enough to make him feel uncomfortable, like he's not as untouchable as he thinks. I want him to realize that messing with a married woman isn't some game. It's a serious betrayal and it can come back to bite you. I don't want him thinking he's above the law because I'm a patient guy, but I'm not someone to be crossed lightly. Honestly, I've been reflecting a lot lately. I used to think marriage was about trust, honesty, and loyalty. I thought I found those things in Emily. Turns out, she was just a bitchy woman who lied about everything, thinking she could manipulate her way through life. I've learned that I need to trust myself more, pay closer attention to the red flags, and never let anyone make me feel small or stupid again. I've also realized that the best revenge isn't some petty act of revenge, but simply walking away and rebuilding my life, stronger and smarter than before. This whole experience has been one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned. Betrayal cuts deep, but it also exposes who people really are. Emily was never the woman I thought she was. She's just a bitchy, manipulative woman who thought she could get away with cheating on her husband. But I refuse to let her win. I'll get through this, I'll come out the other side better, and I'll make damn sure she regrets ever messing with me. Because at the end of the day, the only person who truly suffers from betrayal is the one who thought they could get away with it. And I've made sure she knows that I'm not one to be played for a fool. Now, as I sit here reflecting on everything that's happened, I realize how much I've changed, how much I've had to grow up and face the harsh reality that not everyone is who they pretend to be. Emily thought she was clever, a bitchy manipulator who could lie her way out of everything and still keep her life comfortable. She never expected me to find out the truth, and when I did, she thought she could spin her way out of it with tears and excuses. But I saw through all her bullshit. That footage, her lies, her manipulations, they all exposed her for what she truly is, a selfish, lying bitch who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. I learned that trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to repair. But I also learned that I don't have to be a victim. I have the power to rebuild my life, to take back control and make better choices. Leaving her was the hardest decision I ever made, but it was also the best. I don't regret it for a second. I've started focusing on myself, on my kids, on the future I want to build without her bitchy attitude dragging me down. I'm stronger now, more aware and more cautious about who I let into my life. The thing that sticks with me most is that betrayal isn't just about the cheating. It's about the lies, the manipulation, the way someone you love can turn into the very opposite of what you thought they were. Emily was never who I believed she was. She was just a bitchy woman who thought she could lie her way out of everything, and she did, until she got caught. I don't hate her. I don't think I ever really did. What I feel now is a mixture of relief, anger, and a quiet resolve to never let myself be so blind again. I want anyone reading this to know that if you're ever in a situation where you discover your partner is cheating or lying, don't ignore the signs. Don't let them manipulate you into thinking it's your fault. Stand up for yourself, get the proof you need, and don't be afraid to walk away. Because at the end of the day, your happiness and self-respect are what matter most. Emily thought she could cheat and lie her way out of everything, but she was wrong. I took control, and now I'm moving forward, more cautious, more resilient, and finally at peace with myself. That's all I ever wanted.